Hey guys, insight number 4. So we're in the second part of 1 Corinthians. We're looking at verses 12 through 31. Now, in this part of chapter 12, he's just talked about spiritual gifts. So now he's going to talk about the church membership as a body. As it has many members, but it's like, you can say like a body of water, as in like here's the grouping. So it can be used in that way. So he's talking about church membership. And what he goes on to say is like, you know, if it was a foot and it says this, the rest of it's not ashamed of it. And if it was an eye. So like what he's trying to get at is, yes, we need each part of our body to work together. And sometimes parts of our body will fail, but the other parts will pick up the slack and we can get through. But the whole point is that we need to be one. If we were all feet, that's not going to look right. If we were all eyes, that's not going to look right. So that we need to be diverse, we need to be different, and we need to shine our light in our own way, because that's what someone's going to need. That's what's going to help somebody else. If we're all identical, that's not helpful. It's not helpful to us and our growth, and it's not helpful to other people. So he talks about all of that in those verses. And even at the end in 29, he's like, are all apostles? Are all prophets? Like, no. And honestly, do you want to be a prophet? No, thank you. That's a lot of work. I'm quite good where I am. He says, are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? I'm like, well, teacher, yes. Worker of miracles? Maybe not. Definitely not a prophet or apostle. But you know what? That's actually okay, because we need all of you and what you do and your part to make this work. So even the prophet will tell you that. He's up there and he would be, you know, he's like, I'm just one of you guys. I just have this extra responsibility, way big extra responsibility, right? But he doesn't see himself as being better or more advantaged. He just sees that he has more responsibility. And I don't want that kind of responsibility. So it's all good. But that he looks down and he's like, oh, great diverse group of people. We need this to make this work. A bishop will do the same thing. He'll look at his ward and he'll be like, oh, this is awesome. We've got young and old and middle-aged, and they all work together. Everything just falls into place better. No one's left out. Everyone's included. There's, you know, sister so-and-so who's great at catering, but there's also brother so-and-so who's great at cleaning up. And actually, if they work together, then the activity is going to go really well. There's some good people that are really good at talking, and here's some good teachers. But we need more good teachers. So if we take those good teachers and have them run a class on how to teach a class, then we can train more teachers so that our ward has more of that skill. So that's what I'm getting at, and it's very much a thing to do. In verse 31, he talks about, but covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet shew I unto you a more excellent way. This is the more excellent way of living. So it's one thing to covet, like he says, don't covet the best gifts, but you're not coveting what someone else has got. You're coveting what you want and you want to bring into your life. You're exuberantly zealous about it. You're excited. If you look at the footnote for 31a, it says seek earnestly, be zealous for. So it's not so much greed and things you don't have kind of covet. It's more like, this is the things you should be desiring. These are the things you do want to have in your life. Go and search them. These are the best gifts. You want these things. So all those spiritual gifts that you might have or might desire, that's what you need to be working like really for, seeking earnestly and being zealous for. And then it talks about Doctrine and Covenants 46:8, which goes on to talk about that, and also to look at the Holy Ghost and the topical guide, Holy Ghost gifts off, because I think you'll see a lot listed there that would be on that list that we talked about in the last insight, things that you might not necessarily count as being a spiritual gift, and yet it is. So wonderful words, really, because a lot of us tend to just be our harshest critics and put all that down, and actually we're doing a whole lot better than we think we are. We're thinking, you know, this is going wrong and that's going wrong and they don't like me, and it's like, well, actually, if you just stopped and looked a little differently, maybe just, I don't know how it's going to work for you. It's going to be different for everyone, but actually we're doing a whole lot better than we think we are. Really are. So, with all these amazing spiritual gifts that are floating around, that everyone has, we have in these verses where Paul encourages us to use them and shine our lights in our own unique ways. We need each of us to bring something to that table to make it shine and be good. Likening church membership to a body, Paul teaches that each part is needed if we are to function as a whole. And it is so true. You are needed. Also, our spiritual gifts aren't always our friends. They're not. Some of our spiritual gifts aren't friends. Some we don't want. Some we might have, and we're like, actually, I don't want that spiritual gift. I don't want to be patient all the time. It's annoying. I don't want to be charitable. That's really annoying. For me, it's strength. And people are like, oh, you're so strong. And I'm like, I don't want to be. I want someone to come along and fix it and just have people fix it and work it. But it doesn't happen. It's me that does that. And that's one of my gifts. And it's not a friend. Sometimes it's a heavy load. Discernment, I've not always wanted. Yes, it has some amazing qualities to it. But there's an opposite side. So all the light I see, I also see the dark. And that's not fun. So they're not always our friends. But we can make better friends with them. They're given to us to use, and in doing so to bless others and to glorify God, to build kingdom. And so the question I'm asking myself is, how can I become a better friend and embrace my spiritual gifts? Really trying to. What did I say? I've got verse 31 highlighted. Yes, I already read that. Covet those spiritual gifts. So if I'm going to seek earnestly, zealously, those gifts that I've already got and make them better, then I kind of need to make them my friends. And I'm still working on that. I'm getting more comfortable with the discernment one. I had to invite the strength of Christ in to help dispel the dark, or to help, how can I turn this off? Because it's always on and sometimes I need a break. How do I turn this off? And the only way I really can turn it off is to just take myself away from everybody like he used to. And go and meditate with no one around, literally nobody. And that's how I've managed that one. Taught me that by just reading the scriptures. But the other one is strength, and sometimes I don't want to do that. And he allows me those weak moments to have my little meltdown, and then gives me incredible strength that comes from him. And I know it comes from him, 100%, to actually do that. And that's why I'm strong. It's not me. It's coming from him. But I need to embrace that and make it more of my friend, to be more comfortable with it and to have it more in my life rather than try and push it away and not want it. These things have kept me, as I said, they've kept me alive, they've kept me safe, they've kept me focused, and it just, some days I just don't want to be them. But that's okay, and that whole, if you want to have a little break, but you're still going to be there at the end of it. And it's just finding a way to be more comfortable with those things. So before you go seeking them, really think them through. But if you want those things, pray for them and work towards them. But again, start with your patriarchal blessing. See what it says in there. What's your gifts in there? The two I mentioned are in my patriarchal blessing. And they've been told to me personally as well. And other people see them in me. So they're very strong. But that's okay. I'm working on being those. It's being okay with being that. But yeah, don't always expect them to just turn up and be your best buddies. Sometimes, not so much. And that's okay. Just keep working on it. All right. Hang around. We're going to talk about how charity is more than just donations, because I like that. All right. Hang around.